My upgrades are Invincible, Chapter 94b, Fan Fiction, by Azazyel. This would just give me another willpower/mental defense skill, and it seems that if I did that now with this new development ability, I would be able to combine those skills and most importantly, magic. As I was well aware, I still only had 3 slots for magic with my falna, with one of them being taken up by my fusion skill. Hephaestus's power flared ever so slightly, and I felt that same rush as my maxed out stat lines were converted into more power, and then that familiar hollow feeling of an empty falna as my goddess announced. There you go, Jake. You are now level 3. Let me just transfer your current falna to a paper for you to read. Jake Barris. Level 3. Strength 0I. Endurance 0I. Dexterity 0I. Agility 0I. Magic 0I. Development abilities. Fusion upgrade modules, pet/trials, skill, magic fusion. Skills. Endymion Poimenas, passively boosts all creatures' physical and magical strength tamed by the host by 50%. The longer the tamed beast follows the host, the higher the boost will become over time. Tribulations Mill allows the user to fuse the skills and magics the user gains from the fusion challenges into stronger forms. Invictus, the users will not break via external influences. Shields the user from mind control or illusions. Magesight, the user is able to see magical signatures in various hues based on who or what the magical signature belongs to. Increases the user's ability to see through illusions. Idrictonos, the larger the monster the user faces, the higher their stat parameters rise to face the monster. Increases damage done to large monsters. Makes wounds dealt by the user to large monsters unable to heal. Therapeutis Tun Cataraminon, the user's healing spells will greatly exceed their common parameters when the target is considered unhealable by the divine. Magic. Fusion of all things grants the user the control of a pocket space. The user may place things in the pocket space, and when desires, he may activate the pocket space that will fuse all things within the space to make a single object that is better than all things that were in the pocket space prior put together. Pocket space will level up with more abilities with subsequent levels of falna and by accomplishing secret quests. Rank F. Well, this is looking pretty good. I just need to figure out a couple of main spells that I can upgrade with my item quests. That's if my falna isn't already fucked and I can have more than 3 spells. Hephaestus gave my shoulder a squeeze as she said. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, Jake. But anyway, Jake, what are your immediate plans? I blinked, hearing that, and I spoke slowly. Beyond testing my strength in the dungeon. And especially getting some actual magic spells under my belt to make me stronger. I am going to be breaking Blake and Callie Belladonna in if they are going to be my lovers. I saw Hephaestus's face darken, and I quickly said. Not break them in that way, Hephaestus. I mean that I need to do a lot of work to fill out Callie's shit falna as she only had like C rank stats at best with her prior 2 levels. The goddess of the forge shook her head with a huff, escaping her. And then, seeing I was done with the falna page, she threw it into a monster stone-powered paper shredder, and then she threw the shredded paper pieces remains into a fire. Only after that did Hephaestus speak again. Well, that is a decent plan for the near future. In any case, Jake. I am very proud of you for breaking the level up record, with maxed out stats as well. You did very well, Jake. Hephaestus spoke proudly, making me smile at the genuine care in her voice. After that, Hephaestus and I just shared some small talk. I shared the weird bits and bobs I had made with my fusion abilities, along with my supplement gummies that could help encourage falna's growth at the cost of having the user's life force inflamed greatly. To the point of being in a sort of breeding rut, which made them not that useful for use inside the dungeon, obviously. And then Hephaestus shared some thoughts on some things I could fuse from her perspective of a goddess, which I happily wrote down. But after a bit of conversation, she looked over at the vanishing cabinet at the side of the room, and she asked quietly. So. I assume with the mansion back in Melon burning down. That the other cabinet is also destroyed? I nodded, and after a moment of thought, I said. Yeah. The last I saw of the mansion, it was completely rubble. Though I need to hurry someone to go dig up the sword array I had buried around the property lines. Anyway, yeah, I will likely need to make a whole new teleportation system. Hephaestus popped the question I had been expecting. Jake, I would like an attempt to be made for just material goods to be delivered from the dungeon to another similar vanishing cabinet. But no living people. She said firmly. I raised an eyebrow at that, and I asked curiously. Why can't I try to make a working teleportation system in the dungeon, Hephaestus? To which the forge goddess took a breath and said with finality. Because it would piss the dungeon off more than anything, Jake. And making the dungeon wake up from its slumber will piss off Uranus. And right now the primordial god is on a hair trigger for petty revenge as he wants his own entertainment, drama, or just wants us to suffer like the mortals we pretend to be better than. I rubbed my face before I asked flatly. And a resource teleportation system won't trigger the dungeon? To which Hephaestus's expression broke into a confident look. Correct. The dungeon tracks adventurers and even divines via their souls. So if you are just teleporting materials it won't gain the attention of the dungeon. She explained. With that, I slowly nodded in understanding before I got up, and Hephaestus blinked before I took her in a hug, and I said. I am back, Hephi. Thanks for understanding when I had to leave. And Hephaestus patted my back with her chuckling as she broke away from the hug. It's fine, Jake, I understand you didn't want to be under a microscope by the Hera Familia. But now you are still going to be, with your relationship with Materia. Well, go on ahead and send Tsubaki back in, will you? Knowing that my goddess was a very busy one, I chuckled and said easily. All right. I will get out of your hair. You have a good day, I am going to go get into more trouble. My adorable goddess of the forge just rolled her eyes as I left her office and continued on as I started on my way towards the new apartment I got within the Familia compound, due to how I had obviously leveled up, according to Tina and Tamamo. The trip towards my new apartment went fine, but as I got over there and put my key into a lock, I heard a loud thumping noise. Do you yield? I heard a feminine voice speak out, and I swung open the door. My lips twitched as I saw Shinha with her holding Blake's arms above her head with one hand as she casually sat slightly above her waist to keep her pinned to the ground. You are hurting my tail. Blake whined pitifully. And Shinha calmly retorted. Pain is weakness leaving the mind. Embrace it if you want to be strong. With Blake just shouting back. I just wanted another sandwich from the platter. Not to fight you. Without missing a beat, I walked in and said. You took food from the lion's feast, and didn't expect the lion to retaliate? Shinha's multicolored eyes snapped to mine, and she kicked off the ground to get off Blake, and then a moment later, she was standing in front of me. With her large breasts barely touching my chest as she stared me right in the eye. You made a fool of me, Jake Barris. She stated calmly. And I nodded with that same level of calm as I responded. Yes, I did. How have your battles with Althea been going? Now that she is cured. Shinha's face twitched before she stated. She is much stronger, much faster, and her endurance, now that she can breathe properly, allows her to defeat me with regularity. I gave Shinha a long look before I stated in some confusion. But that makes you happy? And Shinha's slightly frustrated expression at how I had made a fool of her faded with her taking on a slight smirk. She is still my rival, and I make her bleed for each win she may take. But I will once again become stronger than her. Why are you bullying me a level 1 then? Blake whined as she got up with a slight limp in her sore hip that she was holding. And without any shame, Shinha said truthfully. You are an Amazon, you will need to be strong to pick and take a worthy man. Or at least that's what most of your kind do. Blake's slightly tanned face earned a little flush at Shinha's words as she looked at me. And then, remembering what I was warned about previously, I looked back to Shinha, who asked rhetorically. So you broke Althea's record twice in A2, huh? And without even waiting for a response, Shinha continued. Jake, I want you to fight me. No holds barred on your side, I just want to see you at your best and most dangerous. I took a deep breath, and then I said calmly. All right, Shinha, I will fight you. But not right now, I said firmly at the end, making her scowl, and I actually explained. I was involved with the Amphisbaena incident, which is where I earned my level up. To say the least, my armor and my weapons were destroyed in the fight, so I need like 3 days to put my kit back together. There was a tense silence before Shinha's lips curled back, and she asked in a hiss. This isn't a ploy for you to flee again, is it? And my lips twitched at how it was a very fair question to be made.